When you were an MP between 2015 and 2017, according to They Work For You, you always voted against rights to remain for EU nationals. One of the Conservative pledges is 50,000 new nurses, with a third of them being retained. 6.4% of our nurses are EU nationals. How do you plan to get 50,000 more when you won't protect the right for 6.4% of our nurses to remain here?
I think the first thing I'd say is you need a real health warning around looking at voting records, because voting records mix up the government business, and of course as an MP who's been elected for the government programme, you support the government, and you don't then generally support opposition debates, and that's in the mix with this sort of voting record. Am I positive about the role that EU nationals make in our country? Absolutely am. We were talking earlier, I'm a modern language teacher. Am I positive about the impact of immigration? Yes, I am. You know, people have come to our country, they lend their talents, they build their lives here. That's going to continue. I don't see Brexit as in any measure sort of like pulling up the drawbridge. We're going to still seek that kind of talent and that expertise from all around the world, not just the EU, but from all around the world. And the thing around Brexit is it's about choice. We choose those levels around people coming in and people making their lives with us here. So I don't foresee that being an issue or a challenge. People will still want to come and work here, and likewise British people will still want to go and experience life in other parts of the world too. That's all part of a really healthy dynamic.
When you talk about retaining a third of the nurses, can you guarantee that you'll retain the 6.4% of nurses that are EU nationals?
Well, I don't think any of us can guarantee any of, these are all individual choices after all, about how people and where people choose to work and where they choose to live. But actually what we need to do is, I think one of the really serious, because my niece is a young nurse at the DGH, and some of the stories she tells around the experience she has on the ward by way of the abuse of staff, I mean, this is something that we so need to chase down. There needs to be a whole new culture around our medical professionals. And I think the fact that when you enter the ward, you enter the hospital, they have to have these sort of posters up saying, zero tolerance, that tells you a story. And that's something that we really need to address. We need to make sure that our medical staff are really appreciated and they're respected, and that we reset, they're admired for the work that they do, and that we create then the kind of conditions where people will want to stay and want to keep building their career in our NHS system.
Nursing bursaries were scrapped in 2017. How are you planning to recruit these new nurses without that incentive?
Well, actually I was against that particular move, because I think that was actually really important to build the workforce that we need, particularly from home. You talked about how we have, in times past, looked and relied on nurses incoming. We need to sort of really build our domestic, our home workforce too, only because the need's greater, not in any kind of rebalancing. We need more nurses, we simply need more nurses. So there are going to be some changes again. They've looked again at that sort of funding stream, and there are going to be some positive changes, and I, for one, am very pleased about that. I spoke in the debate with Maria Caulfield, who is the parliamentary candidate in Lewis. She's actually a nurse herself, so she brings huge insight into this whole area. And for me, likewise, in teaching, I want to see those kind of bursaries continue in teaching, so that we can continue to recruit really, sort of top graduates to be in our classrooms in our schools.